It's probably tequila, but literally red berry Ciroc is disgusting. It tastes like Robitussin, literally like NyQuil, like the exact same taste. I have some water. Let's get into it. So, Andrea Yates was born on July 2nd, 1964 in Houston, Texas. In her early life, she was the youngest of 5 children. Her mother's name was, I hope I'm not butchering these names as always, but her mother's name was Judah Karen Kohalager. Judah Karen Kohalager. I think that's the best that I can pronounce that. And her mother was a German immigrant. Her father, who was named Andrea Yates Kennedy, and he was a first-gen Irish American. So, she was the child of 2 people who were fairly new to America, or who come from families that are like new to America. It was a Catholic practicing home, and when Andrea was younger, she graduated from Milby High School in Houston, Texas in 1982. She graduated as the valedictorian. She was also a NHS, or National Honor Society officer. Question: did y'all do NHS in high school? I never did it because I always felt like I was too cool to be walking around in a little blue polo doing a service event. I don't know. I just thought it was lame, so I never did it. But like, people actually did NHS. I never got what it was. Did y'all do that in high school? And she was also the captain of the swim team. After high school, she got her nursing degree, and she worked as a nurse in the University of Texas Cancer Center from 1986 until 1994. And during this time, she had a fairly regular, normal life, you know. In 1989, so after working at the Cancer Center for a few years, she meets Russell Yates, but Russell goes by the nickname Rusty. They moved in together and got married on April 17th, 1993. They also disclosed that they will seek to have as many babies as nature would allow. That is a quote. Seek to have as many babies as nature would allow. I read a lot of different sources. Some people just thought that they just wanted to have kids because they just wanted to have kids. Some people thought that it was like a weird, deep-rooted Catholic religion thing where like our job is to procreate for God, so we have to have as many procreations as possible. I'm not sure if they just wanted a lot of kids or if it was a weird religious thing, but that quote was disclosed. And they even bought a 4-bedroom house during this time. And in February of 1994, so she got pregnant like right away. She was ready to have her baby. Her first child, Noah, was born. Shortly after this, Rusty gets a job offer in Florida, so they move into a small trailer home in Florida. They continue to live there, but by their third child, going to put it right there. GMC Motorhome. Isn't that crazy? I had to look up what that was because I thought that it was like a fancy, like, I don't know, like a fancy turn of the century GMC home. But no, it's like a trailer. It's like a van, like van lifing. It's essentially that, but with 3 kids and 2 adults. That's pretty crazy. As a result, I believe, of this chaotic housing situation, in June 16th, 1999, Rusty found Andrea shaking and chewing her fingers. The next day, she attempted to commit suicide by overdosing on pills. This is where she was first prescribed antidepressants. And then a few days after being released from the hospital, she tells her husband, like, just let her die while she's holding a knife to her neck. Because of that, she was clearly still mentally unstable. So, she gets readmitted to the hospital, and this is where she starts her antipsychotic drug, and this antipsychotic drug improves her mental state almost immediately. It was also prescribed her to take, like, on a regular or daily basis upon her release from the hospital. And following her release from the hospital, she did appear fairly stable and, regular. So then, by April 1st of 2001, this is following the birth of her 5th child and the death of her father, and it causes Andrea to spring into a severe depression, where she suffered this huge nervous breakdown and was admitted into a treatment facility once again. She was not taken to the same hospital that she was treated for before. Now she was actually in, like, a mental health facility, and this is where she met Dr. Saeed. And during her stay at the mental health facility, Dr. Saeed did a series of psychotropic drug treatments and proceeded to significantly taper off her antipsychotic meds that helped her recover when she had postpartum depression previously in 1999. And just after a few days of being admitted, she was deemed to be treated and was released from the facility. Which leads us into May 3rd, 2001. On this day, Andrea drew a bath in the middle of the day, and she was found by people living in her home, and she confessed to them that she had planned on drowning her kids that day. Once again, because of this episode, she is now deemed mentally unstable again and gets sent back under Dr. Saeed's care. This time around, Dr. Saeed treats her again with the same treatment that he did before, but now he suggests that upon her release, she is to be supervised around the clock. In my opinion, if someone needs to be supervised 24 hours, then they need to live in a mental health facility. Because because there's no guarantee that there will be another person who can supervise another adult 24/7. But I don't know, like, if Dr. Saeed didn't conceptualize this or thought that she would be okay if she was just at home supervised, but he releases her and just says that she can be supervised she needs to be supervised around the clock. In general, this almost perfectly worked. She had supervision almost all of the time, except there was an hour of unsupervised time within her day between the time where her husband Rusty left for work and then when Rusty's mom Dora comes to watch the kids. There's like 1 hour difference in time between when Rusty leaves and when his mom comes, where Andrea is left unsupervised with her children. So within this 1 hour time frame, Andrea drowns all 5 of her children. She started with the youngest 2, and after she drowned them, she laid them back in their beds. After that, she drowned the older 3 and left them floating in the tub. A few different articles break this down differently. From what I gathered, it seems as if her plan was to drown them all and put them all back into their beds. But when she was drowning the 3rd child, the 4th child came in and saw. So she then had to drown the 4th child immediately, with the 3rd child still floating in the water. And I don't know, after that she had to drown the last child and she just left them all in the tub. I don't know why she didn't after that put them all back in the beds, but I think the whole bed thing was not to scare the children or so that they didn't know what was going on. So once they knew what was going on, like, the bed was now, laying them back in bed was now out of the window. After she drowned all of her children, she called the police and then called Rusty, but she was only repeating the phrase, "It's time, it's time, it's time, it's time." That's pretty sad. Now for the trial and aftermath. Of course, Andrea was arrested because she called the police on herself. She immediately admitted to drowning her kids. She confessed her crimes right away. When on trial, the jury rejected the insanity claim and found Andrea guilty. She was then sentenced to life in prison with the eligibility for parole after 40 years. So, this is still in like 2001 where she gets this sentence. By January 6th, 2005, the Texas court reverses her conviction. On January 9th, 2006, Andrea enters a plea of not guilty by reasons of insanity. And on July 26, 2006, she was giving a retrial. And after 3 days of deliberation, Andrea was found not guilty by reasons of insanity. She is still alive today. She She is now 56 years old. She was sent to Kerrville State Hospital, which is a mental health facility, right after prison, and she still lives there today. Like, she clearly needed to be monitored 24/7, and she is being monitored 24/7 in a mental health facility. Now, yeah, that is the story of Andrea Yates and the murder of her children. I think it just brings to light how important, like, I don't think people really take postpartum depression importantly. They're like, oh, you just had a baby, you should be happy, you just brought new life into this world. But that can really be a lot for people, especially on top of a stressful environment like living in a GMC motorhome with 5 children and then your husband. That's insane. That's actually crazy. That can be a completely huge stressor on somebody's life. So I wanted to give some postpartum facts. My first fact is that 10 to 20% of new moms experience more severe forms of depression known as postpartum depression. So it's not uncommon. Literally, it could happen to almost anyone. 10 to 20% is a significant percentage of people. And then postpartum psychosis, which I believe Andrea had, affects about 500 to 1,000 new mothers, and treatments for this include counseling combined with medication and education on stress reduction. And I think that the treatment part is really where Andrea and her medical team failed, because she was taken off of the antipsychotic medication that worked for her. She was not getting counseling. She was really just getting taken to a facility for a couple days and then re-released. And then there was no education on stress reduction. They just kind of said, hey, well, we treated her and now she's back, watch her. But there was no like ways to reduce stress. There was no like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, then try to do this, this, or this. But I mean, like, it was like the 90s and the early 2000s, and there weren't as many like mental health resources as there are today. And I think that with the proper mental health resources, this is a true crime that could have been completely avoided, honestly. So, yeah, that's the story of Andrea Yates. This was kind of a crazy one, kind of a sad one. Like, they're always all sad, but like a mom murdering her children, that's really sad. I'm sorry, I forgot to give a trigger warning, but like, at this point, if you're clicking on the true crimes, you know what's up. So, yeah, with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you would like to see more videos from